Hey everyone, I'm Jenny Robertson, founder of the On Purpose Woman Global Community and founder and publisher of On Purpose Woman magazine. I'm here to share the speaker portion of our Connections After Hours gathering of the On Purpose Woman Global Community. Karen Tasto is talking about honoring your inner seasons and cycles. Karen Tasto, CPC, has been holding sacred space for women to journey toward their whole selves for almost 20 years. I'm going to stop this video and see if I can stop it from doing that. Beginning as a yoga and meditation teacher and currently as a certified life coach and women's sacred circle facilitator, Karen is dedicated to supporting women in their quest to feel more alive, connected, and whole. You can find out more at karentasto.com. Karen, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I'm delighted. Thank you for all of you for being here. So we're going to get a little experiential so we can get into what these seasons feel like within ourselves and our relationship to them. So if you're willing, get yourself comfortable and feet flat on the floor if that's possible, so you have that connection with the earth. And I invite you to close your eyes, or if you don't want to close your eyes, just soft gaze and turn your gaze inward, your attention inward. And we'll start with some deep breaths, feeling your feet on the floor connected to earth, the support under you. Take some long, deep inhales and long, slow exhales out through the mouth. We'll take two more like that. Deep inhale through the nose, long, slow exhale through the mouth. And one more deep breath, emptying out completely, filling with your inhale and letting go with your exhale. You can't do this wrong. So bring your attention now into the center of your chest, into what is the portal of the heart, of the soul. Imagine there is a spiral of light and you are walking with your attention along that outer spiral, looping around and around until you are at the center and in the innermost space of your heart, the center of your being. And with your imagination, in your mind's eye, see a path opening up before you. A beautiful path in nature. Perhaps ask a guide or a helper to assist you as you walk along this path. And this path leads you to your own sacred garden. This is your inner garden. This garden ebbs and flows through all the seasons. And you find yourself standing at the gate. You place your hand on the handle or latch and you open your gate, feeling it in the palms of your hands. With your helper or guide beside you, you stand inside this gate, looking out over your garden, this special sacred garden just for you. And you see it changing before your eyes through the seasons, starting as winter, where all is bare and gray and laid to rest. Look around at winter in your special garden. Perhaps snow covers the frozen ground. It's all quiet and still. How do you feel, or how does it feel to be in the winter season of your inner garden? Just notice and sense. You witness then the snow melting The first tender shoots sprouting through the thawed, muddy ground. The trees are budding, the birds are singing. There's a fragility to the space, a vulnerability, tenderness. How do you feel in early spring? Notice and sense within yourself, within your body. Then you see more and more colorful budding of flowers. The grasses are growing greener. You notice creatures hopping and crawling about. There's an energy of hope and optimism. How do you feel to be in full spring, the middle of spring? Soon enough, the garden is in full expression, lush with flowers blooming, awakening all your senses, abundant with colors, textures, sounds, flavors, and fragrances. The sun is shining brightly. The energy of anything is possible. How do you feel to be in summer? Breathe. Then comes late summer with overwhelming abundancy, harvest time, the height of growth. How do you feel to be in late summer? Then light fades earlier. The garden slowly begins to shed, letting its leaves fall, preparing itself for the deeper rest of winter. The air has a chill, a welcome relief from the heat of summer. Soon frost is giving plants their permission to let go and rest. Creatures scurry about, collecting their wares for the winter. How do you feel to be in autumn? Now you'll close your inner eyes as you still stand in front of your gate. And then next time you open them and look at your garden, on the count of 3, your inner garden will take on the exact season that you're currently in your life. 1, 2, 3. You open your inner eyes and gaze at the garden, looking all around, your outer eyes still closed, looking around, and what season is it? Don't doubt it or change it. What season is your inner garden experiencing? Walk further along your path, feeling its energy, seeing what's around you, noticing, listening, sensing into what this season has to tell you. Is there a message from the season? What is this season urging you to do, to not do? How to tend to yourself? Breathe. Receiving whatever it is you received, even if it was nothing, that was perfect. So you turn, give thanks to your garden. You turn around back to the gate. opening the handle or latch, walking out with your helper or guide, giving thanks to him or her, this light being. Walking further back the way you came, through the portal of your heart, along your spiral, till you get to the outermost and back to your body. Take a deep breath, feel your feet on the floor, your body sitting in the chair. I invite you to your journal if you have anything you'd like to take note of, or your notebook. I'll give you a moment. My inner season was. What did you open your eyes to? And how I knew that was, what were the signs that you knew what season it was that you found yourself standing in? And the message it had for me was, you can put anything in the chat. What inner season did you open your eyes to in your garden? Did it surprise you? Did you resist it or welcome it? It's all perfectly normal, whatever your reaction. Wonderful. So, as that demonstrated, just as nature ebbs and flows through all the seasons, goes through these transitions, so do we, our inner seasons. And it may or may not match the outer season. It might. We might, like now, right now, we're in winter on the East Coast, and I find myself really like feeling my inner winter. I'm really in that. I had a really hard year. Last year was about survival, so even last year was winter, even in the autumn and late summer. So I was in survival mode. I needed all reserve, it took all the reserves out of me, and yet I couldn't really honor it at that time because of all that was being asked of me. And so it's so much more important now through this year or these months that I am honoring that. And so if our inner season reflects our inner landscape, whatever it is. And so it can correlate with a life stage that we're in. It could correlate with we're going through a transition. Part of my winter in 2019 was another winter for me, and I became an empty nester. My last son left for college, and it really took it was rough. And that went all the way into the pandemic, and the pandemic supported that in my inner winter. So it could be a life stage, a transition, a death or loss, trauma can all really put us into, if we can choose it or not, to go into our inner winter. And I'm talking a bit about winter because it is a season that our culture does not really support. We're all about produce, go, go, go. We're so busy. Time is so flying by. I feel it like this year even feels like it's flying by more. But so it's such a season that we tend to resist and embrace. So I'm going to share with you the different seasons and what is happening in nature, and then what can be happening within, so you can better identify the season that you are in, and how to better align ourselves in that, and then some cautions with each one. So, but just a side note, they can last for days, for weeks, for months, for years. And so don't be surprised at that, And the more in tune we are with our seasons, the more we align with ourselves, the more connected we can feel with ourselves. It's similar to if you're into the moon. It's very much the moon actually goes through. I follow the moon as seasons, the new moon being winter, and then the full moon being summer, so it's that. And we have those transitions between new moon and full moon, and just as we do the season. So that's another cycle of that we can follow, or you can follow it as the seasons. I know there's many ways. So, and it's also about connecting to our feminine nature. And rather, we're, in this male, masculine dominated world, it's all about summer, right? That is summer, full on. The sun is masculine, that bright, keep the light on, right? Push the dark under, like we don't want to go there. So, yeah. So let me go through each season then. And I encourage you, as I am, to jot down like the words that are resonating for you, just to be curious. And at the end, you can see, and you can even put them in the chat. If a phrase or word is resonating, put it in the chat, and so we can all see, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to start with inner winter, because that's where we're at in on the northern hemisphere. And as far as we can also correlate these to menstrual cycles if you're menstruating. So this is menstruation time. What's happening in nature: barren, cold, death, gray, long nights, hibernation. Creatures are hibernating. There's a slowness, there's a quiet. If it's snowing, it's like this magical wonderland. I love that. And depending, of course, which climate you're living in. What's happening then within in winter? It's like it's the thorny part of a rose bush. It's the season of waiting. It's not so pretty and glorified. It's hard times, struggle, searching. It's fallow time, empty time. What of this is resonating? It's introspective, reflective, dreamy. We need this dreamy time. It's much less activity, less productivity. There's less of a desire to socialize, less activity. The holidays don't facilitate that, but it is. It's grieving, healing. It's not knowing what's next. It's the uncertainty, right? So there can be a lot of mystery to the winter. So it's associated with the underworld. We go through, it can be the dark night of our soul, a trauma, a transition, a loss that we're experiencing. We're grieving. We're letting things go to make space for that dreaming. It seems like nothing is happening in the winter, right? And it takes a deep trust to know that actually there is a lot going on. We just can't see it. So, and that trust also is that spring always comes, no matter. If we can have the patience and wait. So how do we better align ourselves in winter? Well, first is to, if we're tuning into ourselves as being in a winter, is to slow down, is to slow your pace and your activity level. It's to not overschedule yourself. Leave time for spacious time. I really thrive on, spacious schedule. When I have too much, I get really irritable and grumpy. So it's also could be slow walks in nature, long hot baths, sleeping more, napping. I know we don't all have the luxury for this. So, it's also being really gentle on yourself. If this is your inner season, and doing what has to be done, of course, while finding ways to allow for that slower and gentle self to come in. It's not forcing things to happen. So a way to align ourselves is to journal, meditation time, whatever that, inner practice that serves you best is. So, and really allowing that and using it for listening time. So without honoring a winter phase, when we're pushing that away, when it's what our soul is calling for, it can really lead us to feeling exhaustion, to feeling depleted. And then we don't have the reserves for when we really, like when spring comes and those ideas, those projects are really birthing, ready to birth within us. So it can lead to burnout and getting sick. So that's winter. Put in the chat what's resonating for you or not. So we move on to inner spring, the time of the bud on the rose. And I know with all these seasons, as I was demonstrating in the meditation, there's the early and the late. So we have the early spring and the late spring. For sake of time, I'm just sticking with general spring and all these seasons. It's when the menstrual period ends, so day 6 to 11. But it's the bud, it's birthing, emerging energy. In nature, it's the seeding and planting time. Hibernating creatures are waking up, the warmer days. Unpredictable though, right? A cold snap can pop in here on the East Coast. It's also though a new cycle of life. There's a real awakening energy. So that's what's happening also within. So nature gives us all the clues that we need about, what's is also happening within ourselves. So, and you all know, your inner wisdom knows best. I'm just throwing out my ideas here and what I feel it is. Spring is also the feeling within us of hope, of possibility, of optimism, new beginnings, fresh ideas. It's like flinging open the windows after, a stuffy winter. It's more outward. We find ourselves more outward, seeing people again, returning back to more activity. It's like coming out of our cave. We may have increased physical energy. We also might, as far as there's also nutritional aspects to these seasons, might crave less carbs and sugars. So how to better align ourselves with spring is being gentle on ourselves. Think of springtime sprouts coming up. Even right now they're starting here to come up. They're fragile. They need tending to almost. So it's a time of cherishing ourselves and being tender and taking the transition slowly, not bursting out of the gate right into full spring. So again, take your cues from the outer seasons and how seasons transition and change. The same thing for ourselves. We can also align ourselves with spring by keeping ourselves well supported and resourced. So think of the gardener in his garden. The seeds, the soil, they can come up on their own, but they also could benefit by, loosening the soil and tending to them, giving them the water that they need or whatever. So it's also a great time to try something new and fun to stir some passion and enthusiasm within yourself. So a caution about inner spring is jumping too early, like I mentioned, too fast, too far, and that can lead to burnout by summer. So be aware of the support that you might need. So what's resonating for you about spring? Put it in the chat. we move to summer, inner summer. So in nature, we all know summer well, the blooming time. This is of the bud blooms. It's the days longer, the shorter nights. Nature is in fullest expression, full growth, full on. It's lush colors, it's mating time. So all the sensual pleasures as well are awakened. So within us, there's this can do anything feeling, possibility. We're full on, we are in full activity and height of our success. Think of a project that you might be working on, or your business. That's when like you really feel like it's taken off. I'm in my zone. I'm in it. And how do we align ourselves better with summer? Indulging in pleasures, indulging in all the sensual pleasures of summer, and prioritizing pleasure and fun for yourself. And showing gratitude for abundance in life. Even slowing down in summer in the heat, right? That's also a time to slow down and really appreciate and enjoy, relax. Social connections are important with our inner summer. And another caution similar is like to not get overwhelmed. I know I can get really overwhelmed in the summer and my inner summer too. I have, flitting here and there, too many ideas, too much going on. What is resonating for you with summer? Moving on to inner autumn. It's the post-ovulation days. In nature, it's harvest time, especially late summer and early fall. The air is cooling, the days are shortest. It's decay time, it's letting go, the leaves are falling. We all know what autumn feels like. What's happening within? A letting go. We're making space. We can't always be in growth mode or full on mode. We also have to let go, to release, to purge what's no longer serving us. So there is space for the universe then to bring new, to bring more. It's the last hurrah for ourselves, perhaps. Perhaps it's we completed something within our lives. So there's a sense of completion, of transitioning. We might be starting to turn our focus inward and into our homes at this point. There's a sense of gathering, right? I know, like, I want to start gathering within myself what I need to come through the winter, both outer and inner, it's all reflecting. So how to better align ourselves in the winter is to turn our gaze inward, to check in. It's a good time, especially in the weeks leading up to winter solstice, to turn in and check in with what's working, what's not working. What can what do I need to take inventory of and gather with me and take into the winter or the next year season? What am I done with? What can I just let go of? So, and what needs to put to rest and left behind? So autumn's a great season too of inward focus as we approach the darkest weeks, really, up to the winter solstice. So the caution here is you can feel challenged. So to really take stock of that and honor that. So that's all the seasons. Yeah, all the inner and what's reflecting on the outside seasons. So to wrap up, I hope this was helpful. I hope something you were able to tune into your own inner season. Please put in the chat, what yours is, what you believe you're in right now with winter on the outside. What is your inner season? I'm Karen Tasto with Open Heart Healing. I'm a certified life coach and Sacred Circle Women's facilitator. And I invite you to schedule a 30-minute discovery call where we can really explore your relationship to your inner seasons. And I can we can look at what the gap is, where the resistance is, or what's blocking you, and I can help you. We can together look at how to be more connected. You can be more connected and harmonious with them and with your life, and connected with yourself and others. So I put the link in the chat to do that, and I thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Karen. I'd like everybody to unmute yourselves, and so Karen can hear our applause. And what happened to Karen? Where did you go?
Oh, I'm right here.
I want to put you pinned up there with me. So everybody, let's just go, hey, Karen. Thank you so much. That was really interesting. I've never heard anyone talk about the seasons in that way before. So thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to take some questions after I turn off the camera. So I just want to wrap this up by thanking anyone who's watching this live or watching the replay. If you'd like to join us from one of our free Zoom gatherings or in person in Columbia, Maryland, Richmond, Virginia, or Tallahassee, Florida, comment below and I'll tell you how you can do that. You can also go to our website, opwgc.com, and find out all about our community. And you can watch me twirl around here on Zoom. This is so weird. Okay, so I'm going to end the live